seen branded produce do well where there is a unique offering. Whether it's a unique variety, whether it's a unique package offering, something that's special, that's different to everyday, buying loose or something that's commoditized. And the other real thing that I personally believe that there's opportunity for branded produce is when you start to think outside of fresh produce. When you start to think, total grocery and driving collaboration with other categories that are in the supermarket and bring a food proposition, a experience to the customer and to the shopper. That is where branded, I think, has legs in this market. If you take a look, this is sliced apples and caramel dip, in other markets, unique salad kits in this market have been doing pretty well. So it's all about thinking about that. And again, I think that's potentially, if you think forward, maybe 3 to 5 years, I believe there's still definitely potential when it comes to branded in produce. The shopper. And I want to touch a little bit about the shopper because I have to emphasize, I guess, the importance of the shopper, because we are engaging with the shopper at the end of the day. It's the shopper who's making the purchase in store and engaging with our products. And it's a growing importance to our retail customers understanding who their shoppers are and how they're interacting, with products on their shelves. What we know about shoppers is Australian shoppers, through the price promotions out there and the pantry stocking that's going on and the trading down to cheaper brands and the growth in private label in total grocery and the quality improving, is as consumers, as shoppers, we're actually making fewer trips to the store now. Fewer trips, bigger baskets, right? So we're pantry stocking, we're buying our 24 rolls of toilet tissues. We don't have to go for that emergency trip to buy some toilet paper anymore, to rush home in a hurry. Which is basically what that means is every single trip matters now even more than what it did in the past. And understanding the path to purchase for the shopper is ever so critical. How to engage with the shopper before they even come to your store, understanding, do they actually have your product on their shopping list? How are they buying the category? Why do they buy the category when they're in store? What are those trigger moments when they're in store to maximize our opportunity to drive purchase? The other thing that's really interesting in some of the trends that we're seeing is execution of communication, of marketing in store. And that's really helped to drive effectiveness of promotions and sales. And that's a message that I just recently heard as well from the managing director of Procter & Gamble at a shopper conference, where Procter & Gamble, make your Pantene shampoo, lots of different brands, very complex, multinational. One of their clear messages and one of their, I guess, aha moments was, they came up with a strategy of thinking of one big idea for their products and working from the store backwards. Getting the message in the store, simplifying the message on the shelf for the shopper to drive purchase, and drive conversion for their categories. And then from there, what is that message and how does that transcend to online, magazine, TV, print? But it was a very aha moment for me, because it's about how do you take, a complex product with, people don't know much about different varieties of fruit and produce. How do you simplify that message on shelf for the shopper to drive growth? And the other message in there is around, Paul mentioned this morning around driving consumption, the big focus of this event around driving consumption. From research that we've seen, in the States, the second largest barrier for driving consumption of more fruit and vegetables is actually, the lack of, new ideas on how to prepare food. And I think we're seeing that in pockets about driving recipe ideas, and the whole MasterChef, is fantastic. And I think that's a strategy that we're on a very good success path, and that needs to continue in order to drive consumption for us. We're shopping more by meals. Consumers are shopping more by meals. So Monday night, they'll have Italian. Tuesday night, they'll have, Middle Eastern, because I'm Middle Eastern, and I'll have Middle Eastern on Wednesday night and Thursday night as well. You can't go past some good Lebanese food. But, we are shopping by meals. And what does that mean for us? As marketers, as salesmen, what does it mean? Well, are we on that recipe for tonight? How are we making it easier for the shopper in store to pick up their recipe and go, for tonight? There's a website where you can go online now, I don't know whether you guys have seen it, where you just choose your recipes. Just choose your recipes and just hit a button and generate a shopping list. Take that to the store. We're going to start to see a lot more of that going forward. Last but not least, how does the shoppers interact with your retail customers? What kind of shoppers is Coles attracting versus Woolworths versus IGA? Do you have a generic offering for all your customers? If so, potentially you need to think about how to restructure that strategy. Because what we've seen in the last particularly in the last 6 months, is a big focus and a big drive of families into Coles. With the Sports for Schools promotion, the whole feed your family under $10. It's not surprising that Coles have actually been doing a lot better with families. So if you've got a product that's suited to families, it may be a good opportunity to take it to Coles and talk to them about it, because that will line up with their vision, their strategy, and that's going to be good for you. But also understanding what the strategy is with Woolworths, with IGA, with Aldi. Who are they attracting? When one size does not fit all. So I guess that's a key message for you to think about going forward. Population. What are the key trends in population? Well, it's obvious. We're an aging population. I haven't had 40 years or 50 years of experience as Lou has in the industry, but we are aging. You can tell by all the grey hairs in my head. But one in four people by 2050 will be aged 65 and over. 25% of the population. What are we doing, to tailor and target those aging consumers? Funny enough, if you look at the data as well, you find that those consumers are the ones who are spending more in grocery today than the likes of families and other demographic groups. So more disposable income going towards food and grocery is coming from that aging population. So maybe think about smaller pack sizes, unique offerings, something that's convenient, that you don't have to work too hard to open the pack and so forth. We're also a growing ethnic population. So again, one in four people by 2050 is going to have an Asian background in this country. They're going to have an Asian descent. So what are we doing to tailor and target those ethnic communities? And I'll tell you, one of the big focuses right now with your retail customers is how do we better serve our local communities, to compete with those independents. Because it's not just about Coles and Woolworths fighting the battle. It's also about those independents who have 25-30% share of the market. How do we better serve those local ethnic populations out there? And how are we making it easier for them to shop in those majors? Which talks to local area marketing, which is, you'll hear that term. It's a very technical term. But local area marketing is all about having strategies in pockets of, micro-geographic areas. So you've got, a Cabramatta where there's a higher concentration of, maybe Asians. In those stores, are you ranging, Asian groceries in those Woolworths and Coles stores, and so forth in other outlets? So how can we help those major supermarkets and also those independents range what's right for the local communities? What's driving the growth of fresh produce in demographics? I could tell you right now, as I mentioned, senior couples over the age of 60 with no kids are spending 10% more on fresh produce than they were a year ago. In total grocery, they're spending 7% more on grocery. In fresh produce, they're spending 10% more. So they are overtrading, they are overspending in fresh produce than what the rest of the market is. And it's the same with those, what we call independent singles. One adult, over the age of 35, no kids, again, spending more on fresh produce. Let's take a look at what some of the other demographic groups are doing. They're your independent singles, and they're your senior couples in terms of their growth. If you take a look at families overall, now we're seeing a softer growth in families. And they're your consumers who are becoming a lot more price promiscuous as well. And the other interesting thing is startup families in terms of the growth that we're seeing there. So they're spending more than the other family groups versus a year ago. If you take a look at who's driving some of the growth in these demographic groups, this is important again, as I said, how are we targeting those right shoppers with those retailers? Woolworths has done really well with startup families and driving the growth there. Coles has actually done pretty well in busting families. But the underlying trend there is actually softer. It's a bit misleading, but because there's other retailers actually driving the decline in that group as well. So the net effect is actually low, but Coles is actually driving growth amongst those family groups. So you're busting families, young, and your young transitionals. And then again, you can see the senior couples there, Aldi, IGA, are driving the growth amongst that group. So I'll finish off with technology and the exciting world of technology that we live in today. This is a quote from the Nike planning director that I managed to steal with pride off the internet. But I actually like the message that he sends out. And that message is just, the last sentence there. We can't target consumers anymore. They target us. Now, it's really, really powerful. It's really important. yes, we have a marketing strategy, and yes, we do our best to go and target consumers, but we also need to leverage how they can actually be marketers for our business and our brands and our products. What are consumers talking about our products, or the tomatoes in Coles, or the bananas in Woolworths, or the independents? What are they saying, and what are they blogging online? How are they, what are their sentiments towards our products? Now, it's really important. We've seen a lot of manufacturers do really well in tapping into this, and driving that growth for their brands purely off the back of customer referrals. Because still today, word of mouth is 4 times stronger than any form of advertising. 4 times stronger. So what are we doing to tap into that, to leverage that? I'll leave you to think about that. And just to show you how powerful word of mouth is, this was just basically a chart off the internet which shows that in less than 6 minutes, a rumor went out online that the iPhone 5 was going to be delayed from its release in June this year to a later date. In 6 minutes, the share on Apple plummeted almost to $4 billion in less than 6 minutes because of that rumor. Now, Apple then corrected it and basically neutralized that rumor. But it just shows you how it has a ripple effect. What consumers say online has a ripple effect. When we're not living 10, 20 years behind now, we're thinking about what's going to go on in the future and how we can leverage that. Because whilst it can be detrimental, it can also be a massive opportunity for us to tap into. And we're well connected. Nobody knows this more than us living in today. Looking at our kids and their kids as well. We're getting more and more connected, with online, with TV. We're watching TV, we're browsing the internet at the same time, we're listening to radio. So there's more touch points. There's more touch points to talk to your consumers and educate them. And how are we leveraging that to drive growth? Technology, again, we're going to see it, and it's going to continue to rise. This is an example of, obviously you guys have probably seen this, media cart with those screens on shopping trolleys. It's been trialled. It's been tested overseas. It's been tested here locally by IGA and some of the majors. This is pretty cool stuff. You can actually shop by swiping your loyalty card on this trolley. It remembers what you bought last time. It remembers your purchase history, right? It sends advertising messages to you basically right there in front of you. It tells you what the price is and whether it's on promotion or what promotions are in store right there and then. So there's a lot of avenues, a lot of opportunity. Think about social media. You can actually go online and have a look at what people are saying about your product and engaging. And that is one of the predictions that I'm hearing out there. Social media, in-store, are going to collide one day. Now, what are we doing to win in that space? This is another technology that's actually is being used and very popular in the UK and the US and Japan, is mobile scanning technology. You can scan a barcode or a product in store and actually find basically online which store, which retailer has a better price for that product. It's been heavily used for price comparisons. And again, it talks to the fact that shoppers have more information today at their disposal than ever before, and it's going to continue to grow. But as an industry, how do we embrace that and work forward? So I guess I want to close off by just summarising some of the key takeouts. One, retail, the landscape. How do we figure out the right pricing strategy to drive profitability? Remember, as I mentioned, it's not just about switching and cannibalizing each other. It's about growing the pie and sweetening our share of the pie. Pre-packaging, looking for unique and cross-category and convenient solutions. I really do urge you to think about that. Shopper, understanding the shopper and what their path to purchase is and how they engage in retail is absolutely critical. That is the moment of truth, as they call it, right there in front of your product on shelf. Do they pick it up or not? What do you have at that last opportunity to basically win with the shopper in store? And lastly, technology. How do we embrace technology? It's a powerful platform, and again, it's an opportunity for us going forward as an industry to grow. And that's it. Oh, sorry. One more. Population. Okay, thank you very much.